It was night time. It had been a long day. Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane. And Judas had been paid by the leaders of the Jews to betray Jesus to them. For nearly 3 years, Jesus had been with his group of friends, and the people had seen him work miracles. They had listened to his stories. They had followed him. But the leaders had become jealous, and they wanted to make false accusations against Jesus. He was not keeping their law. He was not what the religious leaders wanted. And they had seen him draw the crowds to him. They had seen him healing people. But their jealousy grew. And after the last meal that Jesus had with his disciples, they went to the garden, and there Judas had been paid to betray Jesus to them. Jesus warned his disciples there was trouble ahead. But Peter said to Jesus, "It doesn't matter what happens. I will never leave you. I will even die with you." And Jesus had warned Peter that before the cock crowed, he would deny him 3 times. But Peter went into the high priest's house where they were taking Jesus. He followed at a distance because he was scared. In the courtyard of the high priest's house where they had taken Jesus, the servants had lit a fire. It was getting cold, and the firelight played on the faces of those sitting around it. Peter joined them. And then a servant girl came and said to Peter, you were one of his disciples. You were with Jesus of Nazareth." Peter said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know the man." He was even more scared now. And then another person came and said, "Yes, you're one of his disciples. I saw you with him." And he said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know the man." About an hour passed. Peter stayed near the fire, knowing what was happening to Jesus, that he was being arrested and tried. And Peter was very scared. And then someone else came to him and said, "I saw you with him. You're one of his people." But Peter said very strongly, "I don't even know this man. What are you talking about?" And what was that? The cock crowed. Jesus looked at Peter. What was that look saying? I believe that Jesus looked at Peter with the love he always had for him. He had warned Peter that he would deny him 3 times, and it had happened exactly as Jesus had said. But Jesus' eyes were full of love. Way back, Peter had been the one who had acknowledged Jesus as the Son of God. Jesus said, "Who do people say that I am?" And they had answered, "Some say you're Elijah, some say you're John the Baptist come back to life." And then Jesus said, "And who do you say that I am?" And Peter had said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus had said, "You are so blessed, Peter, and I'm going to call you, Peter, the rock. And on this rock I will build my church." And yet here was Jesus not looking at Peter with disappointment or blame, but with love. Peter broke down. He went outside and wept bitterly. He had wanted so much to be the friend of Jesus and the strong one, the one who wouldn't let him down. And now here he was in tears outside, feeling he had let Jesus down. The whole thing was over. Jesus was going to be killed. And he had let him down. But Jesus wasn't giving up on Peter. In Caesarea Philippi, when Peter said those words, he'd said to Peter, "You are Peter, on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." Jesus was going to the cross, and he knew that. He was going to die for Peter's sin and for the sin of the whole world, because he wanted to claim his people back for himself. And in a few hours, he would be hanging on a cross. He hadn't given up on Peter. He doesn't give up on any of us. He wants us to love him, but his love is always there. He looks on us in love no matter what we've done. And when we feel that we have let him down so badly that we cannot go on with him, he looks at us in love. And from those people who have sinned but know their Saviour, Jesus recommissions, as he recommissioned Peter, and says, "I love you. I want you to be my disciple."